Welcome to the Etsy Entrepreneur Podcast, where sellers can get help starting, building, and growing their Etsy business so that they can make extra money pursuing their passion. Are you ready to get the tips and strategies you need to be successful? Then let's get started. Here is your host, a top 1% full-time Etsy seller, LL.
All right, guys, what is up? Welcome back to the Etsy Entrepreneur Podcast. Glad to have you guys back. As usual, hopefully you're doing awesome. Hopefully your Etsy businesses are doing well, or you're working on them to make sure that they do well in the future. That is my hope for you. Today's episode, I want to talk about something super exciting, and that's Etsy fees. No, I know it's not exciting at all. It's kind of a very draggy, boring, unexciting, and depressing topic because we don't want to pay fees, right? We don't want to have them take a part of our cut, part of our margin, but unfortunately that is the price that we pay for selling on a third party. We're basically buying traffic. You know, Etsy has millions and millions of buyers, loyal fans out there, and we're capitalizing on that traffic and getting a piece of the pie. So it is the price that we pay. At the end of the day, it's a lot harder to start our own website right away. Down the road, maybe, yes, it becomes easier, but right away it's harder. So it's easier to capitalize and get a piece of that traffic pie when you start, just to make your life a little bit easier as you grow your business and get all your kinks worked out and make sure things are running smoothly. And then you can evolve to your own website and move away from Etsy maybe, or even stay on Etsy for a long period of time. Even now, 7 years later, I'm still kicking it on Etsy. I still get the primarily make most of my income on Etsy, just because the traffic is amazing and it is every year it gets more and more buyers. So anyway, as I digress, let's talk about fees. And before I dive into specific fees, I want to talk about pricing your products, because this is a thing that a lot of people miss. They don't know how to price their products because they don't know how much it costs to make their products and what's involved in that. So you really need to know those numbers so you can make sure that you price your items accordingly, so that you can make the most profit. And so you can make sure that you're not, when fees come into play, that you're not, making pennies on the dollar. We don't want to do that. It's not worth it to do it. So you want to make sure that you're pricing your items right. Maybe people are selling it for cheaper. That doesn't matter. Cheaper isn't always better. So you need to price your products so you're making a profit and a decent profit for what you're doing. So keep that in mind. And when I'm talking about pricing your product, what you have to figure out is how much does it cost to make your product? What are the supplies cost? Figure out your supply costs, whatever materials you're buying, figure out how much it costs. Whether you're buying them in bulk or not, you need to figure out if you're buying 1,000 pieces in bulk and you need one piece for each product, what does each piece cost? Figure out the bulk total and then divide that by 1,000. Yes, buying in bulk will help you cut down your costs, and that's something maybe you want to do to start. I would recommend. Or you can look into suppliers down the road. If, as you get things going, you can cut costs by starting to buy in bulk and those things. Now, a lot of times, if you buy in bulk, they want to see a tax ID number or an EIN number. And you can get an EIN number by filing an LLC, which does cost you money. You can do it pretty easily yourself on your state's small business website. I think it cost me $120 or $140 to get that, but then you do have to file quarterly taxes. So see an accountant, talk to your small business organization to do that, but it may be worth it to do that so you can get bulk items. If you're buying a lot of bulk items, and you can save a chunk of your cost by getting bulk items. So look into that. I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned that. So your production expenses, you need to figure out that cost. What does it cost to produce your item? And you should also figure in an hourly rate. You want to make sure that you're paying yourself, or if someone else is making it, figure in an hourly rate so you have that. You're probably not going to pay yourself as much to start just till you get everything figured out. But you want to figure that in as well, because if you're, if your profit is $5 and you're spending 2 hours to make that, it's not worth it. It's not scalable. So you want to make sure that you can pay yourself a decently hourly rate down the road. You'll refine your processes and be able to make things faster, but just make sure that it's worth it to you. So know your production expenses and then be able to work in an hourly rate on top of that. So if it costs you $10 to make an item, and it takes you an hour to make that item, maybe you want to figure in an hourly rate of $10 an hour, which isn't great, but it's not bad. You can build on that. That's a good starting point to build off of. If it costs you $10 to make an item and you can make it in 10 minutes, maybe you can cut down the hourly rate. Maybe then you only want to do like $5. So it really just depends. You got to play with the numbers a little bit. The main thing is knowing your production costs and having a little bit of wiggle room for an hourly rate down the road. All right, so let's dive into that. Now that you have your production expenses down, let's dive into, let's backtrack a little bit. So also with production expenses, make sure you include your packing materials as well. That's something that people forget about. And those are something that you should definitely buy in bulk. So shipping labels, tape, stuff like that. Figure out that costs, generally a cost per item, if you're buying at bulk, it shouldn't be a huge cost. So make sure, I think my packing materials for my clothing is like 30 cents or 25 cents an item that I ship out. I have that worked out because I buy all the packing materials in bulk, labels in bulk, stuff like that. And then your shipping costs. So generally, you can do a quote through Etsy. If you do a shipping profile, you can kind of see what it's going to cost if they calculate it for you, or you can go to USPS.com. If you know the weights, you can get a quote there. So generally, it's going to change depending on where you're shipping it to, but you should have an average shipping cost. So say your average shipping cost is like $3. So that'll go into your production expenses as well. So so your production, maybe it costs you $5 to make the item, $3 to ship the item, so your production cost is $8, and then maybe you want to tack on $5 as far as your hourly rate on there. Like I said, that fluctuates. The main thing is knowing your production expenses. All right, so once you got that down, then you want to go into the Etsy fees to figure out if you're going to make a decent profit or not, right? So what I use actually now, and it's really helped me, is my friends at Alora have an Etsy fee calculator that's super awesome and super easy to use. So you guys can dive right into that. It's completely free to use. I'll include the link below so you can go there. Once you go there, it's under the resources tab. They're always adding new resources in there. Not to mention, I would highly suggest you guys use their product demand search tool, which is awesome. You can use it for keywords, demand, to search product demand under each keyword, sales, the revenue, the favorites they're getting, the shops. It's great to research demand and research how you can market your products a little bit differently to get more sales. But go into the resources tab, and then you'll see the Etsy fee calculator, which is it's super easy to use. A few clicks and boom, you know your fees, and then you can play with your pricing to make sure that you're making the amount of profit that you guys deserve. So let's dive in there now, and I'll show you the tool really fast. All right, guys, I'm here at Alora, and here is the Etsy fee calculator. I have it pulled up. So it's very basic, super easy to use. You can do the selling price, the cost. This is your production costs, right? You can do labor, materials, shipping costs in here. So that's what I just went over. So you have a good idea of that number. And then if you're doing offsite ads, this is just for offsite ads, not Etsy ads. This is offsite ads if you're opted in, which basically if you make over $10,000 a year in the last 365 days, your fee percentage is 12%. You're automatically going to be opted in. If you make less than that, your fee is 15%. You may or may not be automatically opted into offsite ads, depending on if they do give you the option if you make less than $10,000 a year. So I would just do it, even if you make less than $10,000, just plan on the 15%. Because if you plan to be successful on Etsy, it's probably coming. Now, they may change this down the road, but they only charge you this if you make a sale. So it's guaranteed advertising where there's a guaranteed cap, which you really can't find if you advertise on your own. A lot of times you can lose your butt advertising, especially on Facebook and stuff like that, because they'll take money, you'll have a loss. They don't care how much money you spend, and you may not have any sales. Etsy's basically saying, we'll only charge you if you get a sale, and we'll only take a max of 12 or 15%, depending on where your sales are. So keep that in mind. But that's where you select that. Now you can turn it off or on. Right now it's off. So you can do it with or without. I would just make sure that you guys are giving yourself enough wiggle room to account for Etsy ads down the road. So you should always, a lot of people make that mistake, and a lot of people that are creatives aren't necessarily marketers, which is fine, but you have to understand that you have to give yourself enough wiggle room to run promotions and for advertising. If you're cutting your margins super thin to begin with and not giving yourself any wiggle room, then you have no room to advertise, no room to promote. So give yourself a big enough margin. Don't worry about your competitors. Do what works for your business. If you're marketing your stuff right and presenting it right and doing the best practices right, you will get sales. So don't worry about having the cheapest item. That's not good anyways. People don't want the cheapest item, especially on Etsy. They want quality items. So make sure your margins are accounting for your ability to run sales, run promotions, and do advertising. So keep that in mind. So that's where you click that on, and then it has the breakout here, your total profit, Etsy fees, and then your profit margin. So let's just say my selling price is $25, and then my cost to make it, this includes, we'll do, let's say $3 shipping costs, $5 production costs, and then let's say $3 labor costs. So that's $11. Right? I think that's $11. And then we'll do the offsite ads off right now, and then we'll calculate this. So right now my total profit is $11.55. Etsy fees are $2.45, and it has all the fee breakout here. Listing fee, transaction fee, processing fee. So the profit margin is 46%. That's pretty good. That's a good profit margin. I like to keep my profit margin 50% or higher. Sometimes it's not possible to do that, but if you're selling a lot of items at a 46% profit margin, that's still really good. That means you get almost half of that money that it costs you to make it. So let's turn on the offsite ads, and you see how they'll take another 15%, dips your profit margin to 30%. But mind you, this is only if the item sells, they're going to take that 15%. So you wouldn't have sold that item, right? That's the way to look at it. You wouldn't have sold that item if you didn't have the offsite ads on, so you wouldn't have any profit margin. So 30% profit margin is better than a 0% profit margin. So keep that in mind. Now, if you're at 12%, it's going to be even less. Your profit margin goes up to 34%. So you can see how you can play with these numbers and make sure that you're getting the money that you guys deserve. So maybe I'm like, man, I don't really want, with the Etsy ads on, I don't really want a profit margin of 34%, or even let's turn it to 15. I don't want a profit margin of 30%. I want it closer to 50%. Well, let's raise our price to $30. So that gets me closer. That gets me to 39%. It's pretty good. Maybe I want to raise it to $35. 44%. So that's even better. Now, another thing, as I said, down the road, maybe you start getting bulk supplies, that lowers your cost. So maybe this will lower my cost when I start getting some bulk stuff. This will lower it down to $7 with shipping. So then my profit margin goes up to 56%. So you guys can see how you can play with these numbers, but also control the things that you're doing in your business to lower your costs and make a bigger profit margin. Within reason, you still want to offer quality products. You still want to make sure that you're giving quality service and stuff like that. And you want to make sure your prices are reasonable. But if you're offering a quality product and doing a good job creating it, and it is high quality, and that's how you're promoting it, then don't be afraid to charge more for that product. People like high quality products. They're going to pay a couple bucks more if they know it's not going to fall apart or if it's not chintzy. People like handmade quality products. So charge the prices. that you deserve. If the people are, some of your competitors are charging way less, where you're like, how are they making any money on that item? Chances are they're probably not. And they're probably not going to have the money to advertise. They're probably not going to have the money to do certain things that you're going to have the margin to do now. So they're not going to last long. And chances are the products probably aren't high quality. So they're going to get bad reviews, and that's going to hurt their shop as well. So don't worry as much about the people offering super cheap stuff, because you get what you pay for, and they're probably not going to be sustainable businesses. So go into when you're starting your business, even now, if you already have your business established, look at your prices. Maybe you need to increase your price. Don't short yourself, and don't worry as much about the competition. Do what's right for your business, because if you give yourself enough margin, you can set yourself apart with advertising. You can set yourself apart with the quality of your items that you're delivering, and it will help your business grow in the long run, because you can do all these different things. So hopefully that helps you guys out as far as establishing your pricing, know your production expenses, and then being able to work on adjusting your prices down the road, but giving yourself enough room to market your items, promote your items, run sales, stuff like that. And that's really what will help your business start to grow over time, if you guys have a good understanding of those numbers. But you want to make sure that you're giving yourself enough profit so it's worth your time. That's what people forget. If you're, if you're making $1 an hour, it's not worth your time. Jack up your prices. Make sure that it's worth your time. People will pay for quality items. But check out the link below. Like I said, go to my friends at Allura.io. They have great resources on there. I have other videos as far as their product search tool, which is great. But definitely check it out. If you guys want to become an Etsy Entrepreneur member, be part of my community, you'll get access to over 25 walkthrough videos showing you the best strategies to grow your shop to the top 1%, as well as a community help forum, as well as live group coaching calls each month. I'm going to include a link to that below as well. You guys can get in, try it out for 30 days free. I know you're going to love it. Be part of the community, be part of like-minded individuals growing their shops, starting their shops, wherever you're at in your journey. I can help you. I'd love to help you. I'd love to work with you. I'd love to look at your shop and see what you're doing and help you grow your business to where you want it to be. You guys can make a lot of money on Etsy, but you have to put in research, you have to invest time, you have to invest in knowledge, and you have to invest in action. So I want to encourage you to do that. Hopefully this video helps you. Until next time, guys, happy selling. I'll talk to you guys later.